retired first in '85. My coverage through Rice Universities was great. I went for a number of years. Insurance was great. It finally began to migrate. They got with Aetna. Kept going. We had to pay more and more and more, more and more. I today pay. Rice was just collecting the money. Aetna, I pay $828 a month for my wife and I, along with Medicare, and they have all these deductibles. My daughter is with Aetna, but her husband was out at the Space Center out there with IBM. She doesn't pay hardly nothing compared to me, and she gets better coverage because out there, the company covers her expenses a lot. Rice don't hardly pay a damn thing for mine anymore.
Well, you're retired.
Okay, so what am I going to do? Now, and you talk about Methodist and these hospitals. All I read about is all, just a minute. I had to file suit on Methodist, and I had to, they canceled 500. I fought them for 3 or 4 years through Austin. Overcharging. I had to get them to refund money to Medicare, to refund the doctors to refund. They canceled 500 of mine. I saw recently they had to pay the government $21 million for fraud. All the Antenna Corporation owns all these hospitals around the United States. I had to get refunds 3 times from those people from my secondary insurance. We are so corrupted in this medical profession today. And it's the big ones too, not only the little ones. They think meth is so hot, you try to get something free out there, you'll find out how much you get free care out there. And some of them others.
Well, although the medical center in Methodist, Memorial Hermann, Texas Children's, St. Luke's, they have to be nonprofit, and by state law they have to give some, they have to provide some care. Now, they don't do very much.
Now what do you think $128 a month is done to my income?
And you have Medicare, and your supplemental through Rice is $800 and something a month.
Yeah, but and they go through it, and Rice don't put nothing with it. But some places the companies do subsidize that. See,
most employers, unless they have a union agreement, once you retire, they may give you, but you have to pick up your retiree coverage.
So what good is that kind of insurance when you can't even hardly afford it?
You might want to look at it because
that's not no
your
good insurance.
$800 a month for 2 people seems a lot for 20% of your liability under, because Medicare will cover 80%, and that's only to cover the 20% Medicare.
And I pay a lot of some copay before they pay on top of that.
Yeah.
I saw where they made $32 million last year. They reported.
Well, you might want to check around for. I don't know if you cover supplemental insurance, but you might want to check around with other folks who sell supplemental insurance to Medicare, because it doesn't sound like it sounds like. Oh, just small groups.
Why doesn't the government penalize these big like Antenna Corporation and them that have stolen hundreds of millions? You know. Florida was on them to refund, the government was to refund $900 million. Rice had to refund $21 million just recently, it was in the paper. And some other state, I forget where, is suing Antenna for $300 million fraud. And yet they keep letting them operate.
Well, we have, so much of that is Health and Human Services has to investigate. Of course, if it's a criminal case, Department of Justice gets in. That's why and it takes a long time to build these cases.
I see it.
But they are going after him. In fact, who was a guy, was it Tennant? Who was a guy out of Nashville that was indicted and was convicted of Medicare fraud, owned a hospital system or something? But anyway, that, whether it's public sector or private sector, we have to do better to get after the outlaws.
Terrible.
Oh, how you doing? Okay, Perry.
I got a couple of questions.
Okay.
Did you read the stimulus package that you voted on?
Yeah. Let me tell you how all these bills. Let me tell you how these bills are done. The health care bill, the cap and trade, the stimulus bill went to different committees. And the and the Energy and Commerce Committee, we had the health care side, we had the telecommunication, and the energy side. And so that was maybe 30% of the bill. So they went to other committees. But we had hearings, we voted on our portion of it. And I did read it. I didn't have, for example, the highway projects. But if I would have written the stimulus bill, we would have put more in construction than we did in some of the things that won't pay off immediately.
the news reported that none of the Congress read the bill.
I don't know if the news was calling me.
You read all of it.
I read the bill.
What day?
I read.
In the middle of the night?
I read the bill. You know, we have hearings for hours and hours. If you want to watch, if you wanted to watch the healthcare hearings, you know how long we were in hearings. And believe me, not only did I read the bill, but I read all the amendments that we had to it. And they're also different versions of the bill.
But this is the first stimulus bill I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I supported the stimulus bill because, like I said, if I would have actually written part of it instead of having 434 other people do it, I would have had more money in the more into the public works type in early on. And so, well, let me talk about that. I just heard about that $50,000. There was money in there for the National Endowment for the Arts. We just like the stimulus bill, though, the highway construction. We didn't decide where it was going to be spent. We sent that to the Texas Department of Transportation. Now that money, well, we voted for the money to these agencies. The National Endowment for the Art got money, and that was built on in the Depression. That they hired folks in the Depression to build and decorate and do things.
Are you unaware of your more recent history? You voted for it. You're unaware of Piss Christ and the Elephant Dung.
Well,
and all that. You're unaware of the NEA's.
I know we've been on the NEA's since the '90s about making these controversial. And in all honesty, that didn't come out until the NEA granted that $50,000. That wasn't in